Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance, watching the massive alien station grow larger on the main screen. The station looked like nothing humans had ever built. It was huge, maybe 10 times bigger than Earth's biggest. Space Station. Strange lights moved across its surface in patterns that hurt to look at for too long. "Sir, we're getting a signal," said Lieutenant Danny Foster from the communications station. "They want us to dock at Base 7. Jake nodded. After 3 months of travel through space that bent and twisted in ways that made his head spin, they had finally reached the meeting point. 3 alien races had called this meeting. They said they wanted to talk to the humans about something important. Jake had a bad feeling about what that something might be. Captain Lisa Hayes walked up beside him. She was the best diplomat Earth, but even she looked nervous. "Admiral, do we know anything more about what they want?" "Nothing good," Jake said. "When 3 powerful alien races want to meet with you, it's usually not to invite you to a party." The USS Vengeance was humanity's finest ship. It had taken 5 years to build and used the best technology humans had ever created. The crew was proud of their ship, but as they got closer to the alien station, Jake felt very small. The station was so big that their ship looked like a toy next to it. They docked without problems. The aliens had sent detailed instructions on how to connect to their station. At least their docking ports were similar to human ones. That was something, Jake thought. The meeting room was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Jake couldn't see the top. The walls seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that changed colors. 3 groups of aliens waited for them at a large table that floated in the air without any support. Jake could see that the first group looked like they were made of living crystal. They sparkled and shined with inner light. Their bodies were tall and thin, and they moved like they were dancing even when they were standing still. Jake had read the files. These were the Zephyrians. They controlled an entire galaxy and were older than human civilization. The second group was harder to look at. They seemed to be made of pure energy that had been given shape. They glowed with different colors that shifted and changed. Sometimes Jake could see through them. Sometimes they looked solid. These were the Nixari. They had turned themselves into energy beings millions of years ago. The third group was the most disturbing. They looked like they had once been living creatures, but now they were part machine. Wires and metal parts grew from their skin. Their eyes glowed red. Some had extra arms or legs that were clearly artificial. These were the Korathi. They believed that flesh was weak and had replaced most of their bodies with machines. "Welcome, young humans," said the lead Zephyrian in a voice like singing crystal. "I am War Singer Veltar. We have been waiting to meet your species." The Nexari spoke next. Its voice sounded like electricity crackling. "I am Node Prime Kethvar. We have observed your recent expansion into space." The Korathi's voice was harsh and mechanical. "I am Hive Lord Mordun. We have evaluated your technology and capabilities." Lisa stepped forward. "I am Captain Lisa Hayes, representing Earth and all human colonies. We are honored to meet with such advanced civilizations." The 3 aliens looked at each other. Then they began to laugh. The Zephyrian's laugh sounded like breaking glass. The Nexari's laugh was like static electricity. The Korathi's laugh was like grinding gears. Jake felt his face get hot with anger, but he stayed calm. "Advanced?" said Veltar. "You think we are simply advanced?" "Child, we have ruled galaxies since before your son was born. We have technologies that would seem like magic to your primitive minds." Kethvar floated closer to the humans. "We have been watching your species for some time. You have barely learned to leave your home world. Your ships are powered by crude fusion reactors. Your weapons are simple kinetic projectiles. You are like children playing with sticks." Morden's red eyes glowed brighter. "Your biological forms are weak and inefficient. You have not even begun to improve yourselves. You are exactly what you appear to be, primitive animals who learn to use tools. Lisa kept her voice steady. We may be young compared to your civilizations, but we are eager to learn. Perhaps we can find ways to work together for mutual benefit. This caused another round of laughter from the aliens. Veltar's crystalline body sparkled with amusement. Work together? What could you possibly offer us? You have nothing we need or want. Your technology is thousands of years behind ours. Your science is basic. Your culture is crude. We have been debating what to do about your species, said Kethver. Some of us think you should be treated as pets. Others believe you should simply be ignored until you destroy yourselves. Jake couldn't stay quiet anymore. What gives you the right to decide humanity's fate? Morden turned his mechanical head toward Jake. Power gives us that right. We control 3 galaxies. We have fleets that number in the millions. We have weapons that can destroy stars. What do you have? We have ourselves, Jake said. The aliens laughed again. Yourselves? Said Veltar. You are nothing. Your entire species couldn't threaten a single one of our patrol fleets. Kethver's energy form pulsed with colors. We have decided to be merciful. We will give you one chance to avoid destruction. You will restrict your species to your home galaxy. You will never attempt to travel beyond its borders. You will never try to contact other civilizations without our permission. And if we refuse? Asked Lisa. Then we will correct the mistake of allowing your species to develop space travel, said Morden. We will reduce your colonies to ash. We will force your species back to your home world. We will make sure you never again threaten the order of the universe. The 3 aliens stood up. The meeting was over. You have 1 solar cycle to comply, said Veltar. Choose wisely. It would be unfortunate if such an amusing species had to be eliminated. As the aliens left, Jake and Lisa stood alone in the enormous room. The walls still changed colors, but now they seemed darker, more threatening. Admiral, Lisa said quietly. What are we going to do? Jake watched the aliens disappear through a doorway that sealed itself behind them. We're going to go home. We're going to tell Earth what happened here. And then we're going to make sure these arrogant aliens learn that humans are full of surprises. The USS Vengeance undocked from the station and began its long journey home. Behind them, the alien station grew smaller until it was just another star in the darkness. But Jake knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of something much bigger. The 3 galaxies had made their first mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Jake Morrison was going to make sure it was also their last mistake. The war room deep beneath the Pentagon was filled with the most important people on Earth. President Kelly Adams sat at the head of the long table, her face serious as she listened to Admiral Jake Morrison's report. Around the table sat generals, scientists, and political leaders from every major nation on the planet. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, President Adams said. 3 alien civilizations that control entire galaxies have given us an ultimatum. We stay in our own galaxy or they destroy us. That's correct, Madam President, Jake replied. They made it very clear that they see us as primitive animals. They think we're no threat to them at all. General Frank Collins, the head of Earth's military forces, leaned forward. How much time do we have? 1 solar cycle. That's about 11 months in human terms, Jake said. They expect us to send a message of surrender before then. What if we tried to negotiate? Asked Dr. Marie Watson, the Secretary of Science. Maybe we could offer them something they want. Jake shook his head. They made it clear that we have nothing they want. To them, we're like insects that have learned to fly. Interesting, but not important. President Adams stood up and walked to the large screen that showed a map of known space. Gentlemen, ladies, we have a problem, but we also have an opportunity. These aliens think they know everything about us. They've made the mistake of underestimating humanity. With respect, Madam President, said General Collins, they control 3 galaxies. They have millions of ships. How can we possibly fight them? A new voice spoke from the back of the room. Because they've never fought humans before. Everyone turned to see a man in a dark suit walking toward the table. He was tall and thin, with gray hair and sharp eyes. Jake recognized him immediately. This was Ryan Brooks, the head of the government's most secret research programs. Mr. Brooks, President Adams said, I wasn't expecting you. I apologize for being late, Madam President, but I was making final preparations for what I'm about to show you. Ryan placed a small device on the table. May I? President Adams nodded. Ryan pressed a button, and the lights dimmed. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing what looked like a massive spaceship. This is Project Shadow Strike, Ryan said. For the past 15 years, we've been developing new military technologies based on a simple principle: never fight fair. Dr. Watson stared at the hologram. I've never seen a ship designed like this. What makes it special? Everything, Ryan replied. While other species develop their technology in straight lines, humans think differently. We adapt. We improvise. We overcome. The hologram changed, showing the ship's internal systems. This is not just a ship. It's a learning machine. The armor doesn't just protect against attacks. It learns from them. Every hit makes it stronger. Every weapon that hits it teaches it how to defend against that weapon. General Collins looked impressed. How is that possible? Smart materials, Ryan explained. The hull is made of millions of tiny robots that can change their structure instantly. When an energy beam hits them, they learn to absorb that type of energy. When a kinetic weapon hits them, they learn to deflect that type of impact. That's incredible, Dr. Watson said. But surely the aliens have similar technology. Ryan smiled. That's where you're wrong. The aliens are ancient. They've been using the same basic technologies for millions of years. They've perfected them, but they haven't innovated. They fight the same way they've always fought. President Adams studied the hologram. What about weapons? Humans have always been good at finding new ways to hurt each other, Ryan said. We've applied that skill to space warfare. While aliens use energy weapons and exotic matter, we use something much simpler and more effective. The hologram changed again, showing the ship's weapon systems. Kinetic kill vehicles. Essentially, we throw rocks at our enemies, but we throw them very, very fast. How fast? Asked General Collins. Fast enough to punch through any known shield. Technology, Ryan replied. Energy shields are designed to stop energy weapons. They're not designed to stop a chunk of metal moving at 90% the speed of light. Jake leaned forward. How many of these ships do we have? That depends on how much the president is willing to spend, Ryan said. We can build 12 dreadnoughts in 8 months. Each one will be more powerful than anything the aliens have ever seen. 12 ships against millions? General Collins shook his head. The math doesn't work. It does if you're not fighting. Fair, said a new voice. Captain Amy Foster walked into the room. She was small and looked young, but Jake knew she was one of the smartest tactical minds in the military. Mr. Brooks asked me to run war simulations based on the alien ship designs, Admiral Morrison observed. Amy activated her own holographic display. The aliens fight in perfect formations. They use traditional tactics that haven't changed in thousands of years. They are predictable. And President Adams asked, humans are not predictable, Amy said. We don't fight in formations. We don't follow rules. We use every dirty trick we can think of. In every simulation I ran, Human forces won despite being outnumbered. Dr. Watson looked skeptical. Simulations are one thing. Real combat is another. That's true, Amy agreed. But the simulations show something important. The aliens have one major weakness. They've never fought an enemy that doesn't play by their rules. Ryan nodded. For millions of years, the three alien civilizations have fought each other using the same basic strategies. They expect their enemies to behave in certain ways. They expect honor in combat. Humans don't believe in honor when survival is at stake, Jake said. Exactly, Ryan replied. We'll use tactics they've never seen before. We'll hit them where they don't expect it. We'll use weapons they don't understand. We'll fight a war they're not prepared for. President Adams looked around the table. This is a huge gamble. If we fail, humanity dies. If we surrender, humanity dies anyway, General Collins said. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. These aliens see us as pets at best, pests at worst. They'll never let us grow beyond what we are now. There's something else, Jake said. During the meeting, I got the feeling that the three alien races don't completely trust each other. They work together, but there's tension between them. Amy's eyes lit up. That's another advantage. If we can make them suspicious of each other, we can turn their alliance against them. Ryan pressed another button on his device. The Shadow Strike project isn't just about building ships. We're also developing new fighter designs, new weapons, and new strategies. Everything will be ready in 8 months. Where will we build these? Ships? Asked Dr. Watson. If the aliens are watching us, they'll see the construction. We're not building them here, Ryan said. We're building them in the shadow of Jupiter's moons. The radiation and magnetic fields will hide our activities from alien sensors. President Adams sat back down. How many people know about this project? Less than 500, Ryan replied. Everyone involved has been told they're working on deep space exploration projects. Only the people in this room know the truth. Good, President Adams said. It stays that way. If the aliens find out what we're really doing, they might decide not to wait for their deadline. She looked around the room at each person. Are we all agreed? Do we build these ships and fight? One by one, everyone nodded. General Collins was the first to speak. We fight. We fight, Dr. Watson agreed. We fight, Jake said. President Adams stood up. Then it's decided. Mr. Brooks, you have unlimited resources. Build your fleet. Captain Foster, I want detailed battle plans for every possible scenario. Admiral Morrison, I want you to command the fleet when it's ready. What about the aliens' deadline? Asked General Collins. We'll send them a message, President Adams said. We'll tell them we're considering their offer. We'll buy time while we build our ships. The meeting broke up, but Jake stayed behind with Ryan and Amy. Do you really think we can win? He asked. Ryan smiled. Jake, the aliens made one crucial mistake. They told us exactly what they think of us. They think we're primitive, weak, and stupid. They're not taking us seriously. That's going to cost them, Amy added. In warfare, underestimating your enemy is the worst mistake you can make. Jake nodded. Then let's make sure they pay for that mistake. In the depths of space, construction began on humanity's secret weapon. The Shadow Fleet would be ready in 8 months. The aliens had given humans 11 months to surrender. That gave humanity 3 months to show 3 galaxies. What primitive really meant. Commander Greg Stone stood on the bridge of the USS Retribution, watching the stars through the main view screen. His ship was one of the new Shadow Fleet vessels, and he was proud to command her. The Retribution was smaller than the main dreadnoughts, but she was fast and deadly. Sir, we're picking up multiple contacts coming out of hyperspace, reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the sensor station. They're not human ships. Greg felt his heart rate increase. How many? 15 ships, various sizes. The largest one is about twice our size. Sarah's voice was steady, but Greg could hear the tension. They're broadcasting on standard diplomatic frequencies. Put it on speakers, Greg ordered. The bridge filled with a sound like breaking glass mixed with wind chimes. Greg recognized it immediately. A Zephyrian voice. The universal translator kicked in a moment later. Unknown human vessel. This is Warsinger Veltar of the Zephyrian probe fleet. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Greg smiled. He remembered that name from Admiral Morrison's report. This was one of the aliens who had laughed at humanity. Open a channel. Channel open, sir. Warsinger Veltar. This is Commander Greg Stone of the USS Retribution. We are conducting routine training exercises in this system. You are not authorized to board our vessel. The alien's laugh came through the speakers like breaking crystal. Routine exercises? Little human, you do not understand your situation. The Triumvirate has decided to check on your species' progress. You will comply with our inspection, or we will take your ship by force. Greg looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. They had trained for this moment for months. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. The crew moved quickly to their combat positions. Greg had trained them well. They knew what to do. Sir, the alien ships are moving into attack formation, reported Lieutenant Tony Martinez from the weapons station. They're charging their weapons. Shields up, Greg ordered. Target the largest. Ship with kinetic penetrators. On the view screen, Greg could see the alien probe fleet. The ships were beautiful in their own way. The Zephyrian vessels looked like floating crystals that caught and reflected light in amazing patterns. But Greg wasn't here to admire alien. Art, sir, we're being scanned, Sarah said. They're trying to analyze our ship's capabilities. Let them scan, Greg replied. They won't understand what they're looking at anyway. The alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. Human vessel, our scans show that you are carrying primitive kinetic weapons. You cannot hope to match our plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes. Surrender now, and we will not destroy you. Greg keyed his communicator. All crew, this is the commander. The aliens think we're primitive. They think our weapons are toys. Let's show them what human toys can do. He turned to Tony. Fire when ready. Firing kinetic penetrators. The USS Retribution shuddered slightly as 6 metal rods were launched from her forward weapons. Each rod was only a few feet long and weighed about 50 pounds. They didn't look like much, but they were moving at nearly the speed of light. The alien ship's energy shields lit up as the kinetic penetrators hit them. For a moment, the shields held. The aliens probably thought they had stopped the attack. Then the rods punched through. The shields like they weren't even there. The largest Zephyrian ship exploded in a shower of crystal fragments. 2 smaller ships were torn apart by the kinetic energy. The remaining alien ships scattered in confusion. Impossible, came Veltar's voice over the radio. Our shields should have stopped those primitive projectiles. Lieutenant Martinez, prepare. Gravity mines, Greg ordered. Let's show them what else we've learned. The gravity mines were another human innovation. They were small devices that created powerful gravitational fields. When activated, they could trap ships or tear them apart. With tidal forces. Sir, the alien ships are trying to retreat, Sarah reported. They're charging their hyperspace drives. Deploy the mines, Greg said. 6 small objects shot out from the Retribution. They spread out around the alien fleet and activated. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around the alien ships. The exotic matter drives that powered their faster-than-light travel couldn't function in the distorted space-time. We're trapped. Veltar's voice had lost its arrogant tone. What sort of weapons are these? "The kind that work," Greg replied. "Lieutenant." Colonel Beth Morgan's voice came over the ship's intercom. "Shadow Squadron ready to launch, Commander." "Launch all fighters," Greg ordered. The USS Retribution's fighter bay opened, and 12 small ships shot out into space. They were unlike any fighters the aliens had ever seen. Instead of energy weapons, they carried miniature kinetic cannons and smart missiles. Beth led her squadron in a perfect attack formation. The alien ships tried to fight back, but their weapons were designed to fight other energy-based ships. The human fighters were too small and too fast for their targeting systems. "This is Shadow 1. Beth's voice came through the radio. "Beginning. Attack run." The human fighters swarmed over the alien ships like angry bees. Their weapons tore through alien hulls that had been designed to resist energy attacks, but couldn't handle kinetic impacts. One by one, the alien ships died. They're beautiful. Crystal hulls cracked and shattered. Their crew died in the vacuum of space. Within 10 minutes, only one alien ship remained intact. "Veltar, this is Commander Stone," Greg said. "Are you still there?" I am here, human," came the weak reply. "How is this possible? Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is inferior." "That's your problem," Greg said. "You think primitive means weak. You're wrong. Primitive means we're still learning. We're still growing. We're still finding new ways to solve problems." "You cannot defeat the Triumvirate," Veltar said. "This was only a small probe fleet. Our main fleet's number in the millions." "Then you better tell them what happened here," Greg replied. "Tell them that humans don't surrender. Tell them that we're ready to fight." He turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the surviving alien ship." "Channel open, sir. Veltar, you have 2 choices. You can die here with your fleet, or you can go home and tell your people what you learned today. Which will it be?" There was a long pause. Then Veltar's voice came through the speakers, much quieter than before. We will return home." "Good choice," Greg said. "But remember this. If any alien ship enters human space again without permission, we will destroy it. We won't ask questions. We won't give warnings. We'll just kill you." The last alien ship powered up its drives and jumped into hyperspace. Greg watched it disappear on the view screen. "Sir," Sarah said, "should we report this to Earth?" "Absolutely," Greg replied. "But first, let's clean up this mess." The USS Retribution began collecting the wreckage of the alien ships. Every piece of technology would be studied. Every weapon would be analyzed. Humans had learned long ago that the best way to beat an enemy was to understand them completely. "Commander," Tony said, "do you think they'll be back?" Greg smiled. "Oh, they'll be back. But next time, they'll bring everything they have. They won't underestimate us again." "Are you worried, sir? Worried?" "No." Greg looked out at the stars. "I'm excited. For the first time in human history, we're going to fight for our survival against worthy opponents. We're going to show the entire universe what humans are really capable of." Lieutenant Colonel Morgan's voice came over the intercom. "All fighters have landed safely, Commander. No casualties." "Excellent work, Beth. Excellent work, everyone." As the USS Retribution finished collecting the alien wreckage, Greg thought about what would happen next. The aliens would go back to their leaders. They would report that human weapons were more dangerous than expected. They would demand a bigger fleet to deal with the human threat. That was fine with Greg. Let them come with their biggest fleets. Let them bring their most advanced weapons. Let them bring everything they had. Humans had been preparing for this fight for months. They had new ships, new weapons, and new strategies. But most importantly, they had something the aliens didn't have: the willingness to do whatever it took to survive. The triumvirate was about to learn that there was a big difference between being primitive and being weak. Humans were primitive, compared to the ancient alien civilizations. But they were not weak. They were hungry. They were desperate. And they were angry. That was a combination that had never failed humanity before. It wouldn't fail them now. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the USS Dominator, flagship of humanity's shadow fleet. Around him, 12 massive dreadnoughts hung in space near the Proxima Centauri system. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, built in secret and equipped with weapons the aliens had never seen before. "Admiral, long-range sensors are picking up the alien fleet," reported Captain Susan Price from the sensor station. "They're coming out of hyperspace at the edge of the system." Jake nodded. "How many?" "Preliminary count shows over 10,000 ships, sir. 3 distinct fleet formations: Zephyrian, Nexari, and Korathi." Jake felt his stomach tighten. 10,000. Ships against 12. The odds were worse than he had hoped, but better than he had feared. All ships, battle stations. This is what we trained for. Throughout the Shadow Fleet, alarms began sounding. Crews ran to their positions. Weapons were powered up. Shields were activated. The ships that had been built in secret were about to face their first real test. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet," said Lieutenant Mark Johnson from Communications. "Put it through." The main screen lit up with the images of 3 alien commanders. Jake recognized them from Admiral Morrison's original. Meeting: War Singer Veltar of the Zephyrians, Node Prime Kethvar of the Nexari, and Hive Lord Mordun of the Korathi. "Human Admiral." Veltar's voice was cold with anger. "You have made a grave mistake. Your attack on our probe fleet has sealed your species' fate." "We did not attack your probe fleet," Jake replied calmly. "We defended ourselves when you tried to board our ship without permission." Kethvar's energy form pulsed with angry colors. "You destroyed 15 ships with primitive weapons. This should have been impossible." "Maybe your ships weren't as advanced as you thought," Jake said. Mordun's mechanical voice was full of rage. "You will pay for your arrogance, human. We have brought the combined might of 3 galaxies to crush you. 10,000 ships against your pathetic 12. Jake smiled. "I like those odds." The aliens looked confused. Veltar spoke first. "You like being outnumbered 800 to 1? "It means we won't run out of targets," Jake replied. "All human ships, prepare for combat. Let's show these ancient fools what primitive really means." The alien fleet began moving toward the human ships. Jake watched them on the tactical display. They were moving in perfect formation, just like Captain Foster had predicted. 3 massive wedges of ships, each one representing millions of years of military tradition. "Sir, they're charging weapons," reported Captain Price. "All ships are targeting us. Hold position," Jake ordered. "Let them come to us." The distance between the fleets shrank rapidly. Jake could see the individual alien ships now on the main screen. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The Zephyrian ships sparkled like giant jewels. The Nexari ships glowed with pure energy. The Korathi ships were dark and mechanical, covered in weapon ports. "Sir, they're in range, Captain," Price said. "All ships, hold fire," Jake ordered. "Let them shoot first." The alien fleet opened fire all at once. 10,000 ships launched energy beams, plasma bolts, and quantum torpedoes at the 12 human dreadnoughts. Space lit up like a star as the massive bombardment struck the Shadow Fleet. The human ships rocked under the impact. Their shields flared and sparked. Alarms sounded on every bridge. But the ships held together. The adaptive armor began learning from each hit, growing stronger with every impact. "Damage report," Jake called out. "Shields at 60% and rising," Captain Price reported. The adaptive systems are working. We're actually getting stronger. Jake keyed his communicator to broadcast to the entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. They wanted to see Primitive? Let's show them what Primitive can do. All weapons, fire at will. The USS Dominator shuddered as her main guns fired. Kinetic penetrators shot out at incredible speed, crossing the distance to the alien fleet in seconds. The other 11 human ships fired at the same time, launching hundreds of metal rods at their enemies. The alien fleet commanders watched in horror as their ships began exploding. The energy shields that had protected them for millions of years were useless against simple metal moving at near light speed. Ship after ship died as the kinetic weapons punched through their hulls. Impossible. Veltar's voice came over the radio. Our shields should stop those weapons. Your shields are designed to stop energy weapons, Jake replied. We're not using energy weapons. Captain Mike Davis of the USS Defiance came on the fleet channel. Admiral, deploying nanite swarms. Each human ship released clouds of microscopic robots into space. The nanites were too small for the alien sensors to detect, but they were programmed with one simple mission: find alien ships and eat them. The nanites swarmed over the alien fleet like an invisible plague. They began consuming the alien ships from the inside out, turning their hulls into dust and their systems into scrap metal. What is happening to our ships? Cathver's energy form was flickering with panic. They're dissolving. It's called nanite warfare, Jake said. Every time you shoot at us, we learn how to hurt you better. The alien fleet tried to retreat, but the human ships had surrounded them with gravity mines. The distorted space-time made it impossible for the alien ships to escape to hyperspace. Sir, the alien fleet is breaking formation, Captain Price reported. They're starting to panic. Jake could see it on the tactical display. The perfect alien formations were falling apart as ships tried to escape the human weapons. Some ships were running away from the nanite swarms. Others were trying to get out of range of the kinetic weapons. The unity of the combined fleet was cracking. All ships, focus fire on the command vessels, Jake ordered. Let's cut the head off the snake. The human fleet concentrated their fire on the largest alien ships. The flagships of the 3 alien fleets died one by one, their commanders screaming over the radio as their ships were torn apart. This cannot be happening. Mordoon's mechanical voice was full of disbelief. We are the masters of 3 galaxies. We have conquered countless species. How can primitive humans defeat us? Because you never learned the most important lesson. About warfare, Jake replied. It's not about having the best weapons. It's about having the will to use them. The USS Retribution, commanded by Captain Greg Stone, broke away from the main fleet and began hunting down fleeing alien ships. Her fighters swarmed over the scattered remnants of the alien fleet, picking off stragglers. This is Retribution. Greg's voice came over the fleet channel. The aliens are trying to send a distress signal to their home galaxies. Jam all communications, Jake ordered. I don't want word of this battle getting out until we're ready. The human ships used their electronic warfare systems to block all alien transmissions. The surviving alien ships were cut off from their home fleets. Alone and defenseless. As the battle continued, Jake watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The alien fleet that had numbered 10,000 ships was now down to less than 100. The human weapons were working exactly as designed. Sir, we're getting surrender signals from several alien ships, reported Lieutenant Johnson. Ignore them, Jake said. They came here to destroy humanity. Now they get to learn what it feels like to be destroyed. The battle continued for 3 more hours. By the end, only a dozen alien ships remained intact. Jake allowed them to survive for one reason. Someone had to carry the news back to the 3 galaxies. Attention, Surviving alien ships, Jake broadcast. This is Admiral Morrison of the human Shadow Fleet. You came here to destroy us. Instead, you have learned what happens when you underestimate humanity. The few remaining alien commanders were silent. Their proud fleets were gone. Their advanced technology had proven useless against human weapons. You will return to your home galaxies, Jake continued. You will tell your leaders what happened here. You will tell them that humanity is not primitive. We are not weak. We are not to be underestimated. And if they don't listen? Came a weak voice from one. 6 months after the Great Battle, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the council chamber of the newly built Unity Station. The massive space station orbited Earth and served as the headquarters for humanity's growing galactic empire. Through the large windows, he could see ships from dozens of different species coming and going. The 3 alien leaders who had once mocked humanity now sat at a round table, waiting for him. Warsinger Valtar of the Zephyrians looked different now. His crystal body was dimmer, less bright than before. Node Prime Kethfor of the Nexaray flickered with nervous energy. Hive Lord Mordun of the Korathi sat perfectly still, his red eyes staring at the table. Thank you for coming, Jake said as he entered the room. I know this isn't easy for any of you. Galtar spoke first, his voice no longer arrogant. Admiral Morrison, our civilizations are dying. Without our fleets, we cannot protect our colonies. Pirates and raiders attack our worlds daily. Our people live in fear. Some of our worlds have already fallen to chaos, Kethfor added. Millions are dead. Our governments are collapsing. Jake sat down across from them. That's why you're here. We need to discuss the future. What future? Mordun's mechanical voice was bitter. You destroyed our fleets. You have shown the galaxy that we are weak. Every enemy we have ever made is coming for revenge. That's true, Jake agreed. Your enemies see weakness and they're attacking. But you have something they don't have. What? Valtar asked. An alliance with humanity. The 3 aliens looked at each other. Kethfor spoke carefully. What kind of alliance? Jake activated a holographic display showing a map of the known galaxies. The Terran Confederation. A union of species working together for mutual benefit. You provide your knowledge and technology. We provide protection and military support. And if we refuse, Morden asked, then you die, Jake said simply. Your civilizations will fall within a year. Your people will be enslaved or killed. Your cultures will disappear forever. Veltar's crystal body sparkled with fear. You would let this happen? We wouldn't let it happen, Jake replied. We would make it happen. Humanity tried to be diplomatic. We tried to find a peaceful solution. You responded with threats and ultimatums. Now we do things our way. What are your terms? Kethfor asked. Jake pressed a button, and the holographic display changed to show a document. Full membership in the Terran Confederation. You share all your technology with human scientists. You provide detailed maps of your territories. You accept human military bases in your systems. You want to occupy our worlds, Mordun said. We want to protect them, Jake corrected. Your people can govern themselves as they always have. But human ships will patrol your space. Human weapons will defend your colonies. Human laws will apply to anyone who threatens Confederation members. Veltar read through the document carefully. This makes humanity the dominant power in 3 galaxies. Humanity is already the dominant power, Jake replied. We're just making it official. The door to the council chamber opened, and President Kelly Adams walked in. She was followed by Captain Amy Foster, now promoted to General, and Ryan Brooks, from the Defense Department. Gentlemen, President Adams said, I hope Admiral Morrison has explained our position clearly. Very clearly, Kethfor replied. But we need guarantees. How do we know you won't simply destroy us once we're no longer useful? General Foster spoke up. Because that's not how humans work. We don't destroy useful allies. We protect them. Ask any of the species that have already joined the Confederation. She activated another holographic display. The Tauri from the Andromeda Galaxy joined us 3 months ago. They were being invaded by a hostile species called the Wraith. Human fleets drove off the invaders and established protective zones. Around Tauri worlds? The result? Ryan Brooks added. Tauri technology combined with human innovation has produced weapons that are 30% more effective than anything we had before. President Adams sat down at the table. This isn't about conquest. It's about survival. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Alone, each of our species is vulnerable. Together, we're strong enough to face any threat. Mordaunt leaned forward. What? About the species that refuse to join your confederation? They're free to remain independent, President Adams replied. But they won't receive our protection. And if they threaten Confederation members, they'll face the consequences. What consequences? Veltar asked. Total annihilation, Jake said. We've learned that the only way to deal with truly hostile species is to eliminate them completely. No survivors. No second chances. The 3 aliens were silent for a long minute. Finally, Veltar spoke. We need time to discuss this with our governments. You have 24 hours, President Adams said. After that, we withdraw our offer, and you face your enemies alone. The 3 aliens left the council chamber to contact their home worlds. Jake watched them go, then turned to President Adams. Do you think they'll agree? He asked. They don't have a choice, she replied. Their civilizations are collapsing. We're their only hope. General Foster activated a tactical display. Sir, we've received reports from the outer systems. 3 more species have requested Confederation membership in the past week. Who? Jake asked. The Alari from the Pegasus Galaxy, the Nox from the local group, and the Furlings from the Outer Rim territories, she replied. All of them are being threatened by hostile neighbors. They want human protection. Ryan Brooks smiled. Our fleet construction program is ahead of schedule. We'll have 50 new dreadnoughts online within 6 months. Each one incorporates technology from our new alliance partners. What about resistance? President Adams asked. There are still a few species that refuse to acknowledge human dominance. General Foster replied. The Go-Ood Empire has been particularly vocal in their opposition. They've been trying to form an alliance against us. How many ships do they have? Jake asked. About 500, all outdated technology. They're using the same basic designs they've used for thousands of years. Jake laughed. 500 ships against our current fleet of 25 dreadnoughts? I almost feel sorry for them. Should we take preemptive action? General Foster asked. Not yet, President Adams said. Let them make the first move. When they do, we'll respond with overwhelming force. The galaxy needs to see what happens to species that threaten the Confederation. 24 hours later, the 3 alien leaders returned to the council chamber. Veltar spoke for all of them. Our governments have agreed to join the Terran Confederation, he said. We accept your terms. President Adams smiled. Welcome to the Confederation. Your first shipment of human defensive systems will arrive within a week. 6 months later, Jake stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance, watching as construction crews worked on the newest addition to the Confederation fleet. The ship was massive, larger than any dreadnought humanity had ever built. But it wasn't just a human ship. It incorporated Zephyrian crystal technology, Nexari energy systems, and Korathi mechanical innovations. Sir, the new ship is nearly complete, reported Captain Lisa Hayes, now serving as Jake's second in command. She be the most powerful vessel in the galaxy. What are we calling her? Jake asked. The USS Harmony, Lisa replied. President Adams thought it was appropriate. Jake nodded. The name was perfect. The ship represented everything the Confederation stood for, different species working together to create something greater than any of them could build alone. Admiral, came a voice from the communication station. We're receiving a distress call from the Rigel system. The Goa'uld Empire is attacking Confederation members. Jake smiled. Set course for Rigel. Maximum speed. Sir, should we call for backup? For the Goa'uld? Jake shook his head. The Vengeance can handle them alone. As the USS Vengeance jumped into hyperspace, Jake thought about how much had changed in less than a year. Humanity had gone from being mocked as primitive to ruling 3 galaxies. They had turned their greatest enemies into their closest allies. They had created an empire based on cooperation instead of conquest. But most importantly, they had proven that being primitive didn't mean being weak. It meant being adaptable. It meant being innovative. It meant being willing to change and grow and learn. The ancient alien civilizations had been powerful, but they had been stagnant. They had used the same technologies and tactics for millions of years. They had believed that age meant wisdom, but they had been wrong. In the vast universe, it wasn't the oldest species that survived. It wasn't the most advanced species that thrived. It was the most adaptable species that conquered. And humanity was nothing if not adaptable. The USS Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace above Rigel 4, where Goa'uld ships were bombarding Confederation colonies. Jake looked at the 500 enemy vessels on his tactical display and smiled. All weapons, fire at will, he ordered. Let's show them what happens when you threaten the Confederation. The battle was over in less than an hour. Not a single Goa'uld ship survived. As Jake watched the wreckage drift in space, he thought about the message this would send to the rest of the galaxy. The Terran Confederation was not to be trifled with. Species that joined the Confederation received protection and prosperity. Species that opposed it received destruction. It was a simple system, and it worked. Captain Hayes walked up beside him. Sir, we're receiving surrender,